Hi, welcome back. This is episode 34. This is some of the scenes that didn't make it in the last video. Hang in there. And then there will also be some transmission lineup, bolt up, filter installation, and then bolting in the cradle. I promise it'll get better. Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm an artist. This is my 1988 Silver Eagle Model 15 bus. 4 years ago, the motor decided to let go on me, and I've been picking away at it ever since. Here at my shop, you never know what jobs, projects, or shenanigans I'll be up to. So follow along with me as I try to get this bus back on the road and get into future projects. This is 11th Hour Custom. I'm hoping that I get bell housing bolted together and the torque converter bolted together. Now, if I get those three things done and then get to the balancer, I had a good day on the bus. So that's the game plan.
Woo! I'm feeling good!
Yeah. All right, let me see what we got here. All right, so we're closer on this side than the other side. So I'm gonna jack it up a little bit, Max. I might have to get the other jack.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get the jack on this side.
Yeah, this jack's in my way.
Yeah, you know what? Let me get a bottle jack, and then
I have no clue what that is.
yeah, I'll show you, and then I'll bottle jack the bottom of the transmission in the bell housing area
Okay.
up, and then we'll see if we can get it lined up.
Crush my wiener on the way in here.
Yeah, are you crushed right now?
Oh yeah. I'm very crushed, right underneath this rear end.
Dang it. Wait,
You see me? Hey!
Hey,
Look at this big old thing right here.
the heck is that thing?
That's the rear end.
That's the rear end?
Yeah.
Holy crap, this.
Imagine if this was just me and you, Mike.
Do you really think we get the motor in? We wouldn't even get to this part, you know what I mean?
Oh no, we would have sold it and just bought a new one.
Yeah. We'll probably put this in the video, our conversation right now. What'd your dad go to grab?
What?
What'd your dad go to grab?
I don't know. Bottle jack?
Oh,
Oh,
he's
it's
back.
outside.
He's back.
Look who decided to show up.
I had to put fluid in the bottle.
Oh, I didn't know it took fluid.
It's hydraulic fluid.
That kind of looks like a bottle.
Yeah, that's why it's called a bottle jack. So we're gonna use this to get it aligned. If I can get anything lined up to put a bolt in.
I bench 55 pounds.
Whoa. I'll see if the bolts line up.
Yeah, it's
now.
closer. The transmission's got to come forward, but I think I can get one started. If I get 2 or 3 started,
We're in good shape.
and we sucking it in from the bolt.
Yeah, because there's no way I'm putting one on right now.
I think I'm gonna have to get on Michael's side and pull it that way.
Oh, the bottle jack now.
You want? I can get on that. Put that back up.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
We gotta move it to the right. I think we gotta. Can I? Is there a way I could lower the back of it and get another grip on it? Like, we should really set the floor jack up from the passenger side. You know what I mean?
We could probably.
So we can get it this way some. We had to use a come along to pull the transmission forward, and it literally fell in place. And of course, the camera stopped recording. At this point, all the bell housing bolts are in, and I'm in there removing the stands that I made to keep the transmission alignment the way it was when it came out, which really didn't help us in the long run. But it made things a little easier. Stands off. Oh man, it's recording. I'll take that stand off. Hey. Okay, I'm going to give a little update since the other day we put the engine in. My main priority with the bus engine today is just to block off any openings And then I'm going to put all the filters on just to seal up those ends too. I'm going to pour some oil in the oil filter while it's in the box. Eventually I got to get the transmission I bolted up, and the torque converter I started bolting up, but I want to clean out each hole. I tapped and chased every hole on the converter. I really greased them up good, so I was going to wipe them out a little bit, each one, and show you going about getting those bolts in, and I'll probably Loctite them in place because they're, you know, something you don't want falling out. So that's kind of the game plan. Oh, you know what else too is I'm going to take my phone and log in these Napa part numbers for the filters so that I know what the numbers are in case they wear off the oil filters or whatever. So that's another thing I'll do as I put them on. Okay, we ran into our first problem on the motor. So this fuel filter is touching right, this bolt is touching the fuel filter. And I think it's just because of that flat washer. I'm gonna take this off and take the washer off and see if we have more clearance, and then we're gonna have to retorque that bolt. It's just rub it. And I'm gonna lube this anyway. Of course, it's the bolt that I helicoiled, and it's gonna be a nightmare, I'm sure. I don't know if the bracket's got it tight. There we go. Well, hopefully it didn't mess up the helicoil. I'm gonna leave the lock washer on. I'll buy us another 1/8 of an inch. Let's hope we can torque it to what it was. Alright, so before I get too crazy, I want to make sure the filter fits. It's tight. That gives us about a 1/16 of an inch, but I don't think it's gonna go anywhere once it's tight. There we go. It's 36. That should be enough. All right, that's done. And that's it, first bolt's in. Okay, here's the game plan. The hole above the starter hole is where the torque converter bolts will go. And there's 12 of them. So the one that's in there now is strictly in there for alignment purposes. It's tight, but it's not like super tight, and it doesn't have Loctite on it. So I'm gonna paint it white so that we know, in case I lose count, that that's where we started. So we're gonna go to the next hole, put Loctite on the bolt, run it in with the impact gun until we get back to the white. I'm going to turn the motor over to the next hole. Start turning the motor over with the bar. There's the next hole, right there. So now, put a little Loctite on, and we'll run it in. Now I tapped all these already, just to make sure that they would go in with a long reach. Try not to get in the way of the camera. Alright, so that one's in. If we miss one, we'll wind up with an extra bolt. So that's pretty much how it goes. I'm going to shut the camera off and do the rest of the 9. And if I come up short or something, if I pass the hole, I'll turn the camera back on when I'm done. Or I'm there. So last bolt to put in, I wound up having to go back and loosen the 2 that were tight because they were slightly out of alignment. and I went all the way around, put all 12 in. This is the last one. I should say I put all 11 in, and this is the last one. We'll get this one in, and we'll start tightening this one with the impact gun, and then the next one should be the white one, and then we'll take that out, Loctite it, and then tighten that one. Alright, so there's the white one. We're going to run that one out, put Loctite back on, put it back in, tighten it down, and go all the way around, tighten. Packing up, I'm gonna go. What happened was I bought bolts years ago, well, maybe a year or so ago, for motor mounts, and apparently I bought 4-inch bolts thinking that these were the original front motor mount bolts in the frame, and it's only two bolts, the very back of the frame, and I'll show those. These were the original ones, and you know, clearly they're pretty toast. You know, I don't want to put them back in. So I bought grade 8 bolts. The bolts go through, but it's not enough to go. You really should have threads sticking out of the locking nut so that you know that they're locked in place. Now, these are all locking nut bolts. They were like that when I took them out. The original locking nuts were this style here, which, you know, they're probably still good. Some of the ones I have are this style, and they work well, and then some of them are Nylox. But they're all locking nuts with just flat washers on mostly one side. The bolts towards the rear of the bus I'm going to put up through the bottom so that if it ever scrapes ground, there's no studs sticking down. And the ones in the back, I think they drop down through because there's a tab to lock the head in place. And I'll show those. The tapered part of the frame you see in the back is where the 4.5-inch bolts go here. And then the 6-inchers go in the rest of the spots. My game plan is to get those mounting bolts in place permanent with the new washers, the 4.5-inch, and then the rest are all 6-inch bolts. So there's 2 of those and there's 6 of those. Alright, so we got the right bolts. They go like this. So they're the short ones, 4.5-inch. And the other ones that get washers on both sides. So I'm going to put a little bit of this copper anti-seize around the shank so it doesn't rust in place. We'll tighten them all up last. 1 1/8 inch. Let's do it at the same time. Got the one. Here it is. Nice. See if these big washers will fit on the other side. So that's it for those bolts. We just have to do the ones back here. These bolts, I was going to drop in from the top and have the heads jam up against this flap here. But I think I'm going to do the nut up just so there's nothing hanging underneath the bus. I'm going to have to hammer that forward and get a block of wood and see if I can move it a little bit. Take a lot of ass. There we go. Close and personal here. I'll have to go get the wood and knock this back. I'm gonna see if I can get this airline off. problem. I built 4 transmission mounts to hold the trans up when I put the motor in. And I got to get them out of there before I forget and rip the back of the motor off. So I'm going to climb towards the back and see if I can unbolt that leg. Alright, last thing. Let's see if I can get this line off. So we're gonna make a new one of these lines, which is this line here. Make a new one. That's nice. One more motor mount. And this thing's down on the ground. You couldn't get under that one frame rail. I got it sitting on blocks right now. And there's no way. What? No way you can get under that frame. You have to get your arm under there to change your wheel. It's a real pain. It's good. Things are going the right way. I feel good about it. I'd like to get this throttle linkage off and paint it, and the shifter linkage off and paint it while I'm under there. The shifter linkage is kind of funky. Looks like 2 7/16. So I'm going to grab a lock washer for the rear frame mount for the transmission filter, and then the wooden block I'm going to try to hammer the frame rail so that the bolts for the motor mounts go in. Get those done and tightened. This is going to get this assembled. These we don't need. These are the transmission stands. The only downfall with putting the bolts up is worst case scenario if one of them fell out. Now if you put the nuts on the bottom, the pins would stay in and the motor won't move anywhere. Because the motor and the transmission are one big unit. What are the chances of all 8 bolts falling out? I shouldn't say that, but so we're getting them all cranked down. These 6-inch bolts are fine for here, right? Not this one. The shank is too long. So on the other side I had to put 2 flat washers on top of the one that's here for a total of 3 because it bottomed out. That's because of this wedge here. There's like a wedge to tilt the motor with the frame. I'll get 2 more washers and we'll tighten these 2 down and we'll be done with the motor mounts. So you can see I obviously have a lot of touch-ups to do, and then I'm going to fix this section of rust over here. So I got a little bit of painting to do, a little bit of clear coat work. That won't be too bad. We'll do that at some point soon before I start putting more stuff in. And I got to get a couple more. I'm going to put the transmission lines on maybe tomorrow and try to button up the big stuff, and then worry about doing touch-ups. And it needs a good wash down, just so I can see what kind of damage we're dealing with. But other than that, it looks pretty good. Here comes Polly. Just come from the back. Hey, psst, what are you doing? Come here. What, do you want to eat? She's not coming. Bastard. Alright, so let's move on. There's 2 more washers, and that'll make it so that doesn't bottom out on this shank or shoulder. So you can see where I'm working here. Last one. Alright, so the motor is officially bolted in. I tried to clean this engine bay up as best I could. It was like solid rust. And you can see it doesn't look too bad besides the cleaning. But like, you know, I ground the rust off and epoxy primered it and everything, and I just wanted to show you this. Look, you can't stop rust. So there's something to tell you fixed. It's a shame. I'm gonna go shut the door and get my act together. I think we're done for tonight. I'm gonna go take a walk outside and make sure I didn't forget anything, because I'm good for that.